Hello and welcome to the 21 Days Face Your Fears Online Challenge. I am Bristena Mantu, transformation facilitator, energy therapist, and writer, and my mission is to help people heal their past in order to be able to live the life of their bliss. I'm super excited to host on your journey to fearlessness with the power of community. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Omar Raafat. Hello, Omar.
Hi, Bristena.
Um, Omar's interest in the mind-body connection began when working as a head and neck surgeon and seeing multiple patients who were suffering with chronic pain. This opened the door to a world of the power of the mind and the subconscious and its effect on our health and daily lives. This exploration led him to become a master NLP, neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. Currently, he coaches people in bringing their dreams into reality and empowers people all over the world to overcome their limiting beliefs, negative emotions, chronic pains, fears, and habits. Welcome, Omar. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And let me just take this opportunity to thank you for inviting me to take part in this. It's an amazing initiative I think you have going on, and it's very much an honor to be part of it. So thank you.
It's a privilege to have you here with us. So, let's get started with fearlessness. I
Fearless.
wonder what is the biggest fear that you ever overcame and did you manage to do it?
So I think, looking back, the biggest fear that I had to overcome was actually being or allowing myself to just be my true self. It was a feeling that I had that I was living with this internal conflict of being who I am, and yet there was part of me that wanted to express more and just be more open, and it was a fear of showing that because I thought that people would find it very overwhelming, or they wouldn't be able to understand it, or maybe they wouldn't like me if I expressed it. So I guess the biggest fear was fear of vulnerability, you could say.
Okay. Yeah, that's a quite a difficult one for many of us. So how would you recommend if anybody is struggling with this fear of exposing their true selves? How would you go about dealing with that?
Well, first of all, what I did was it got to a point where I was just fed up with it. As I say, there was this long-lasting internal dialogue of wanting just to express more and be more sort of authentic, if you like. So the first step was realizing that I was fed up with it. And then the second thing was accepting and loving who I truly am. And I think a lot of listeners or a lot of people out there that I work with, they really struggle with this one. And maybe you can relate to this as well, Bristena. You
Absolutely.
know, being a therapist or facilitator, we love to help and try and fix everyone, and yet sometimes we forget to love ourselves. So this was a very big step as well. The third thing after that was then realizing that, hold on a minute, this is my life. So why am I holding back? I should live it the way I choose to live it. You know, as long as I'm not hurting anyone intentionally or getting in anyone's way, then surely I should be entitled to live it how I want. Especially given that this experience of time that we currently live is so limited, and we're all going to exit the same way. So we might as well live it enjoying ourselves and being true to who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. What do you think are the major blocks that people experience in their internal dialogue, as you say, this internal conflict, when it comes to becoming able to love ourselves for who we really are and express what we need to express in authenticity and vulnerability? So, what's blocking us from doing that, in your opinion?
I think it's we create or we pick up somewhere along the line this belief that we don't deserve it, that we are not good enough. We have to live in this victim mentality that, oh, because I don't have the required degree, or I don't have the skills, or I don't have the experience, I don't deserve certain things, or why should good things happen to me? So I think that's one of the main blocks. Another one that I see a lot is fear of unknown.
Mm.
So what if I do this and it doesn't work out? Or what if I do this and it works out and I can't handle it? So yeah, in my experience, those are the two main blocks I think people come across.
Okay, so let's take it in turns. The first one was about feeling worthy, feeling
Yeah.
that you belong, right, in this place, that you have a right to be who you are. Um, and I think there are two types of worth. This external worth that comes from our achievements, from our credentials, from our life experience, from approvals from other people, which is great. But then, if we lack this internal worth, this internal sense of worth, which comes from the realization and the deep visceral feeling that actually we are worthy just because we exist, just because we are here, and it's a miracle that we are here in the first place. So, how do you work with people who need to get in touch with this inner sense of self worth, which is again so important in realizing that we can actually overcome our fears by getting in touch with that?
I think, firstly, it's beautiful that you said this whole. It is magnificent and it is amazing that we exist. That in itself is a miracle. And the first step is actually getting people to realize that is working along the lines of gratitude. You know, a lot of the work that I do and the focus that I sort of live my life by at the moment is focusing on the things that you have and the things that you want rather than what you don't want. Because I believe that when you focus on what you want, then you can move towards it and start creating it in your life. So when you take a moment out of your day and you start to think about the things that you already have in your life and start to appreciate them and start to develop this sense of gratitude, then that's the first step to, I think, developing this internal dialogue of self love. And
Hmm.
it really is a process and it happens in baby steps. So it's not going to happen overnight, although you have to start somewhere, you know. And as just as you said, and I think you put it beautifully, it really is a case of taking a minute, thinking, hold on a minute, I'm actually alive, I'm breathing, I have a body, you know, I'm functioning in a certain way, and then really start to appreciate the things that you have. So those who are listening, I mean, if they take a few minutes out and just get a pen and paper and start to write down what they have in their life at the moment, you're on your way.
Brilliant. And also, not just what they have, but what are their qualities? What are their gifts? What are their talents? Because we get so lost in not realizing how beautiful and amazing we are because of our failures or our sorrows or our insecurities, that we forget how beautiful beings we are. And I think that remembrance and feeling grateful for that and all the amazing things that we have in our lives can actually open up the floodgates to receive more of that. I've personally experienced that applying this practice of gratitude as just working miracles. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'd also say, and this I learned and it was told to me by someone, and I think it's amazing, it resonates with me. There are no failures in life. It's all just lessons to be had. So, yes, you have lots of skills and talents, and we all do, you know. Just because someone tells you something, it doesn't mean you have to believe their narrative. Every single one of us truly is very powerful and very beautiful, you know, in their own special way. So, yeah, you know, embrace all your experiences, all your talents, all your failures, if you like, which are lessons, and use them to your advantage. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Uh, and when you start doing that, you start creating your own narrative and stop listening to other people's narratives that we so much been that have been instilled upon us since we were kids, from our parents, from our peers, from our teachers, and society in general. Listening to other people's narratives and ways of living our lives. But when we get to this empowered inner place, that we realize that we can create our lives the way we want, and that is possible, and then we see so many inspirational examples out there of people doing it and living the life of their dreams, basically, that it's possible. And I think overcoming our fears is a great practice to get to that place.
Definitely. And it is possible, as you say.
Okay, so when it comes to practical matters, what is the one strategy you apply when you help yourself or your clients overcome fears?
So what I would usually do is I would see what the where the fear lies. So what are you afraid of? And then once we've established what the fear is, I would then usually ask, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen? Okay. Once you identify the worst thing that can happen, you start to really embrace it. So come to terms with the worst thing that can happen. Learn to accept it. Because no matter how bad it is, it's still manageable. Once you do that, you then focus on the best thing that can happen. So if I take this step, if I start this new business, if I make this change to my life, how will this then positively influence me? How can I see myself in the future after I make this change? Okay. And once you have those two things, you start taking steps, focusing on what you want and moving in the direction of what you want. Because once you've determined what the worst outcome is, and you really start to understand that it's not that bad, or it's just a made up scenario in your head, it no longer has power. And even better, what you can then do, or the strategy I would then use, is utilizing that fear as like a driving force to move you forward. So rather than letting it hold you back and cripple you, because I suppose fear can go two ways. So once again, you have the choice. What's stopping you from using it to drive you forward to creating the life you want or the choices you want?
Okay, so how would you use fear as a driving force for getting what you want?
Do I use it?
No, how would you use it? How do
How would
you
you use fear?
Yes.
Once again, so it's a case of using that adrenaline push of knowing, well, okay, so that's there, and I really don't want that. This is what I really want. So I'm going to keep running, pushing, swimming, going towards this because I really don't want that. So when you create the awareness, it's sort of a balance or yin yang effect, if you like. So if you know what the feeling of the fear is or not having something, then it makes you want that other thing that you do want even more.
Yeah, and this made me think of the fact that when we experience fear, it's a we experience this polarity of both paralyzing terror, but also excitement and adrenaline. So
Yeah.
if we can manage to harness the power of this adrenaline, excitement, and that comes attached with the fear, that's the thing that I think can use as a driving force to push us forward.
Exactly. And play with it, have fun, use the adrenaline, use the excitement. You know, the you can take the unknown as a, oh no, what's going to happen? Or yeah, this is really exciting because the opportunities are endless then. And you just open yourself up to so much magic that can happen and it pushes you even further, you know?
Right, and going back to the second block that you mentioned, which was the fear of the unknown, I've recently experienced that, and then someone, in a very beautiful synchronistic manner, I met a friend who's a painter, a drawer, and she made a beautiful drawing saying there, embrace the unknown, with a dolphin on it, and just made me realize, wow, actually, the unknown, indeed, is a ripe place for possibilities, for
Yeah.
all sorts of possibilities. And if I focus on failure or negative outcomes, I'm putting out this vibration in the universe, and that's what I'm going to attract. This is based on the universal law of attraction. Whereas if I focus on positive outcomes and success, then this is what I'm going to, and this is what I will receive in return. So, fear of the unknown is basically also something in our limiting belief and patterns related to fear of failure or fear of not being good enough in the future, not having great results, which also goes back to our childhood and our conditioning. So, would you have anything to add on that?
Well, the only thing I would say there as well is we also have, and it comes, as you say, absolutely from this idea of conditioning and childhood and whatnot. And we have this sense for some reason that we have to always be in control. We have to know what's going to happen every step of the way. Whereas if I set my intention, as you say, focus on the positive things that I want to create and know a general direction of what I want, and then put it out there into the world, follow that path, and then just allow all the doors to open, which is the unknown, then I can pick and choose what door I want. So then it takes away the blinkering of thinking I have to look down this one tunnel and oh, I have to go this way, I have to go this way. Instead, when you remove it and say, okay, hello unknown, this is what I want to do, what options do you have to offer me? And you start to attract things that you never thought were possible because your vision or your limits no longer exist because everything is then possible, you know. So people say, oh, the sky is the limit. Well, why stop at the sky? You know, anything is the limit, truly. Once you take away that concept of having to be in control and the unknown, I think the unknown can be truly beautiful with all its surprises and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have this need to be in control of our lives and in control of everything that's happening because we simply are afraid to surrender to this higher magic that is around us, that and I truly believe in the fact that whatever is happening in our lives is for our highest good, even though in that moment when you are in the middle of the storm and nothing seems to make sense and you're down in the dumps and depressed and nothing is working out, when you're coming out of the end of that, it feels like that was the best blessing, and every curse is a blessing in disguise. So everything that's happening is for your highest good. So just let go of this need to try to control things and just surrender to the magic of the universe. That's how I like to call it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so true. Just as you say, and when you surrender, that is when the magic happens. You know, that's when the synchronicities take place. That's how you and I came across each other. You know, but just by surrendering, and here we are today talking about this. You know, so yeah, I agree.
Well, you nailed it right there because I had this idea of doing this online challenge, and of course, it seemed like a huge project at the beginning, and it felt like, wow, am I really gonna do it? Am I really big enough to do this? And I surrendered this fear, and I just said, you know what? Let's see what happens. Nothing can go wrong. It's only that I can learn from it as I go along. Maybe it's not gonna turn out perfect. Maybe I will make a few mistakes here and there, but at least I will put myself out there and I will put things in motion. And then all these amazing people that I contacted, they agreed to be on my interviews, and they've been supporting this work and really feel that I'm getting this energy from them that yes, we're in this together and we're making it happen because the power of community is incredible, and the more we support and uplift each other, the more we can grow and evolve and expand as a species. And this is why I'm doing this whole online platform community kind of thing with Facing Our Fears. We're gonna support and help each other, provide advice and um, whatever we need on our journey to fearlessness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I say, it's a beautiful initiative, and we definitely live in a time of co-creation and community. The power is in community, you know. As human beings, it's within our nature to be part of something, you know. So to have something as beautiful as this, where we can help and support each other and let people develop and grow, is just fascinating. It's truly
Absolutely,
fascinating.
yeah. So many of us end up believing that we're doing all of it by ourselves, and this is so wrong because we're not disconnected, we're not separate and lonely, even though it appears that we're like that. But if we are vulnerable enough to reach out, to ask for help, and to see that there are other people who are experiencing the same things in you as is you, and then you can unite and work on the same issue together because we're experiencing all of us in all people the same potential for both grief and joy, fear and love. So if we gather with like-minded people who want to overcome the same issues, then we're gonna use this momentum and make amazing things happen.
Actually, absolutely, we'll make great change, and great change is coming. Yeah, especially when more and more people start to communicate and work together and reach out.
Absolutely. So, how would you relate being fearless with growing personally and evolving and feeling empowered? How do you relate fearlessness with empowerment?
Um, as I said earlier, they're sort of two sides of the same coin
Mm,
because in order to understand one, you must know the other, if you
yeah,
like. Because how would I know what being empowered is if I've never been afraid or weak or vulnerable towards something, you know? And the more that I understand and the more that I push myself towards fear, towards vulnerability, then it just results in me growing and being even more empowered. So I used to have this idea that I had to put on a strong face for everyone, and I had to be very sort of seemingly powered and in control and all that sort of thing. And then I realized, hold on a minute, I'm human just like everyone else. So it's okay to have your vulnerabilities, it's okay to have your failures, it's okay to have your fears, because by going through them and learning what you need to learn from them, you just become even more empowered and you develop and you grow even more. And growing is a great process.
Absolutely. And this made me think of the fact that empowerment does not equate with that feeling of being in control. I
Not
think
at all.
empowerment is about this deep inner knowing that whatever happens to us, we we can handle it, and that we can open up to resources and um, anything that we need on our journey to overcome our challenges and step outside of our comfort zone. So this need of being in control, going back to that, is just coming from fear.
Yeah.
Empowerment comes from love, from being in that empowered, self-loving inner warrior state where you know you can handle anything. And of course, that comes and goes. You cannot be there all the time because we go in our life, we go about our lives, and we get triggered, and we have problems, and other challenges arise, and then we go back into the small, fearful state. So how would you transition from this place I call smallness, which is all about fear and whoa, what am I doing, anxiety, stress, not knowing, fear of the unknown, into this grand bigness or greatness of fearlessness and empowerment?
I think it relates to what we were talking about earlier about the whole gratitude thing,
Mm.
because once you're in that position of smallness or fear or the anxiety and whatever it may be that all of us experience at some point in our lives, if you sit there and you sort of start to truly be mindful of it and take in, okay, what is it that's making me feel this way now? What can I learn from this? I mean, I truly believe that every situation, every person you come into contact with, there's something to be learned and from it that we can grow with. So if you take that moment, think, okay, what can I learn from this? What am I grateful for that I have now? And then how can I use this
Yeah.
to move myself into the direction of empowerment? So what are my lessons from here that can take me from point where I am now to point where I want to go?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think gratitude is related to this acknowledgement of what we have in our lives. Because when we are afraid, our mind is trying to figure out solutions or answers to our problems, but we forget what is here. So going back to what is here, what do I have? All these amazing connections, friends, family, house, beautiful country that I live in, and remembering that, and from that place on seeing, like, looking at the constructive solutions rather than going into fight or flight mode. Oh, what am I doing? Just waiting for things to solve by themselves. We gotta take the power and actually go out in the world and find the solutions and apply them in our practice in our daily lives.
And also know that you have within you all the resources and tools that you need to create the choices and the life that you truly want, you know. And so yeah, that's completely spot on what you said.
Okay. A last question would be, maybe you, if you'd like to share with our viewers an example of maybe a person that you work with that has transitioned from a place of fear into a place of creation and empowerment and just success.
I had a client that I worked with recently who was an amazing woman who, due to beliefs that she had held on to or emotions that she had held on to from her childhood, and this process of taking on a victim sort of mentality, if you like, where I'm not good enough because my mother said so and they didn't believe in me, so I can't achieve this. And through working with her to overcome these issues, she's managed to transition now into creating a very happy life where she's actually going around giving talks to people and inspiring them to move on. And it's been a beautiful journey working with her. And to see her go from this position of sort of closed state where there's a lot of tears and a lot of emotions that were overriding and victim sort of closed off mentality to her completely flourishing and just running, if you like, is very amazing, and it's very humbling to be part of her journey, you know. And that's what excites me, is seeing people transition from that state of, oh, I can't do anything, to going through the eureka moment where a light bulb goes off, and then suddenly they just start flying, and it's all this happiness and positivity in their life. And that is the reason I do what I do, because it's such an amazing feeling, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. I just love the work that you're doing, and is so similar to the work that I'm doing, because I'm also a transformational coach. And whenever I see people transition from smallness into greatness, from doom to joy and expansion, and yeah, simply blossoming and manifesting their true potential, becoming the best version of themselves, and realizing that everything is within them, being whole, divine, and complete within themselves in this integrity, self-loving, self appreciative mode, then you can set amazing things in motion. And I think it's great for people who um, are stuck in that smallness place to be reminded of examples of people who've transitioned from that place and that have exited their comfort zone and faced their fears and actually went out into the world and really done great things, to see that it's possible and to be inspired and to be motivated to do the same, to
Yeah.
allow their creator to come forward rather than their victim. Indeed, I think victimhood is something that's keeping us um, in this attitude of not thinking we're capable of change, but it is. So, any words on the victim mentality?
Any what, sorry?
Any ideas that you'd like to share on the victim mentality and how that is keeping us stuck?
um it's completely keeping us stuck. None of us need to be a victim. We create this illusion in our mind that we are victims, when the truth is, as you said earlier, we are completely powerful and magnificent. So the idea of an emotion is, or a belief, is basically an interpretation that we create through an experience. So the idea of having a victim mentality, you can let go of it. It really doesn't serve you, you know. Holding yourself back in life doesn't help you in any way, nor does it help anyone around
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
So by admitting to yourself how actually amazing you are, you can do incredible things, and then you let go of that whole victim mentality, and then you can start creating great initiatives such as yourself, you know, or empowering people to get over their fears or create their dreams and live their life.
yeah. And I just remembered, I'm gonna paraphrase a philosopher, like the greatest work we can do in this life is inner work, self work, sculpting ourselves to become the best sculpture that we can be.
Yeah, it's true. The more you work on yourself and the more you grow, the more you can benefit those around you,
Yeah,
and start leading by example, which is the best way to lead, really.
absolutely. Wonderful. Um, how can people reach you, Omar, if they want to get in touch with you?
So they can either check out the website mindismatter.com, or they can email me at omar@mindismatter.com. We've also got a Facebook page and a Twitter feed, Mind is Matter. So they're more than welcome to check those out and check out upcoming events and workshops.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a wonderful conversation that we had, very empowering and inspiring. So thank you very much for joining us again, and thank you everybody for watching today's video. I hope you are inspired and that you can start taking fearless action, implementing the things that we discussed in your daily lives. If you like this video, please share it on your social media. Let your friends know that you're participating in this amazing online challenge for fearless warriors. Sign up to my YouTube channel, Journey to Bliss, and sign up on the link below to get your free Bliss Blueprint with the 3 stages of radical transformation from within. I hope you enjoyed this and see you next time. Bye bye!
Bye.